and my girlfriend went on a Scotland road trip. We did about 1,500 miles around sort of the middle of Scotland, basically everywhere sort of southeast of Loch Ness and Inverness, because above that, basically from Inverness, is the North Coast 500, which is not what we were aiming to do. I want to do that one day when I've got like a faster sporty car, which I don't really have at the moment, and I don't think my girlfriend would really enjoy being sat in a car literally the whole time. So we wanted to sort of have a trip which was half roads and good roads and driving, and half doing nice walks, seeing nice things. So that's pretty much what this video is. It's basically, it's not the North Coast 500, it's everything sort of southeast of Loch Ness, including the Trossachs National Park, the Glenfinnan Viaduct, Fort William, Glencoe, and a number of other sort of little things that you may not have heard of that we've been to visit on the way. Now, I wasn't too sure how I was going to make this video. My original sort of plan was to talk to the camera and tell you what we're doing while we're doing it, when we're there, sort of thing, but that just kind of didn't really happen for whatever reason. So I'm going to do it like this, where I'm sort of going to talk to the camera and show you the clips over the top and sort of give you some, hopefully some advice of things you need to look out for if you're going to go on a Scotland road trip, and basically talk about the things we've seen and done. So the first day the plan was to drive to Loch Katrine, because that's the sort of a place where I knew there was public toilets that we could use, because I wasn't too sure where the service stations would be along the way. It turns out there was one near Glasgow, which isn't too far from there, so you'd probably be alright even if you didn't need to go there. So we went to Loch Katrine, which is actually quite nice to just have a little wander around anyway. So there's some great roads on the way to Loch Katrine, and then 5 minutes from Loch Katrine to Benarn, and that's the first sort of hill / walk thing that we climbed. Parking here is £3 for all day, and you're definitely going to need walking boots if you're doing this one. It's quite steep all the way up, and the overall round trip took us about 3 hours. And we did it kind of slowly as well. You could probably do it in 2 if you're a fit, fast walker. At the top you're rewarded with some great views of Loch Katrine and Loch Ark-Ray, and I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong, but there you go. After climbing Benarn, we drove anti-clockwise around the Trossachs National Park to get to Beinglass campsite. Now this campsite's amazing. It's basically in the middle of a massive valley, and you can see a waterfall coming down one side of it, and it's just a nice place to be. The facilities are pretty good there. The showers actually have temperature controls, which is the only campsite we went to that had temperature controls on the showers. Midges were a bit of a problem at this campsite. They were quite bad, so make sure you take your midge repellent. We used Smidge. I actually got the wipes from them, which kind of helped for a little bit, but they definitely don't last the 8 hours that they say. Right, day 2, the original aim was to climb Glen Lomond. So we left Beinglass campsite and drove all the way down the A82 and all the way around Loch Lomond, and eventually reached the car park, which is at the bottom of Glen Lomond. The road from Beinglass campsite all the way around to Glen Lomond was really good, and I recommend you get up super early if you want to sort of enjoy the road to yourself. Now, after climbing Benarn yesterday, even before we set off for Glen Lomond, we were kind of basically decided that we weren't going to go to the top, and also when we woke up the weather really wasn't that great. It was quite cloudy, so even if you get to the top you're not really going to see much anyway. Glen Lomond is almost twice as high as Benarn, so being as unfit as we are, we didn't really think we'd make it all the way to the top of Glen Lomond. So we did walk for about an hour up it, and still got some great views of Loch Lomond from there. doing this, we went to another place which was sort of on the maybe list of things we were going to go and see, because we weren't sure about time in case we did climb Glen Lomond, but we went to Queen Elizabeth Forest Park. There's a nice little waterfall there, and there's also a little hideout where you supposedly can see red squirrels, because that's one of the things that I really wanted to see as well when we went to Scotland. Unfortunately, we didn't see them here. It was the middle of the day, there was a lot of people around, and there's also a Go Ape centre there. Right, day 3. This was our favourite day by far. So we got up super early because I wanted to sort of enjoy the roads without anyone being there. We actually got up at like 4, and I think by the time we packed everything away, had some food, we left at about 5 from Binglas campsite. So on the way to Glen Etive, there was some amazing roads, and believe me, getting up at 5 AM makes it completely worth it because there's pretty much no one else out there, and you can sort of enjoy the roads and the scenery to yourself. I also think that when you're on your own, it kind of adds something to the experience of the scenery you're seeing, if that makes any sense at all. And I feel like when there's no other humans there and just no one around, it kind of brings you closer to the nature. God, I'm getting all deep now, but you know what I mean. I've personally never really seen mountain ranges like this, and it blows you away when you see it for the first time. So we drove down the A82, and then you take a left off the A82 onto the road which goes all the way to Loch Etive, and this is a single track road all the way down. Now this day kind of accidentally ended up being the sort of movie locations day because every place we went has been featured in a movie. So to start off with, we wanted to go to Glen Etive and Loch Etive, which was featured in Skyfall. The road down through Glen Etive and to Loch Etive is a single track road, and when you get to the end there's nowhere else to go, so you've got to come back all the way up the same road, and there's passing places along the way. Now this road is where that famous shot is of James Bond getting out his DB5 with M stood looking into the scenery as they're sort of on the way to this big house in Skyfall. Now I actually googled it, and the house isn't real, unfortunately. That was made on a set in Surrey for the film. Now I think because no one else was there, we actually saw some wild deer, which is something that I really wanted to see as well. After going to Glen Etive, we went back up the single track road to the A82. And then we carried on all the way down to Glencoe and the Glencoe Visitor Centre. Now that scenery is amazing driving through there as well, and it's just great to take it all in early in the morning when there's not really anyone there. We then went up to Fort William and went down Glen Etive all the way to a place called Steall Waterfall. Now this waterfall was actually featured in Harry Potter in one of the scenes where they're playing Quidditch. Now on the way here it's quite a nice tight twisty road, and it also went past a field of highland cattle. After seeing the cattle, we carried on down the road, which eventually turned into a single track road with passing places. We eventually got to the start of a walk, which takes you to Steall Waterfall. This was quite a rocky walk, and probably took about 15-20 minutes to get to the opening, where you eventually see Steall Waterfall. After this, we went to another Harry Potter location. This one, probably the most famous one, is the Glenfinnan Viaduct. After this we went to Ben Nevis Holiday Park, which is where we were staying for the night, and set up our camp. So the fourth day, the plan was to go to Loch Ness and do a little walk at a place called the Falls of Foyers. Now we woke up and the weather was pretty rubbish, it was throwing it down, so we basically packed everything away and just sort of got in the car and drove to Loch Ness, and we went the long way. We went around on the A87 and the A887, which went past Loch Garry and Loch Lomond, which I'm probably saying wrong as well. So that was a nice little drive, and then we got to Loch Ness, where I basically sort of looked at the castle and then carried on driving up, because this night was the one night that we'd booked a Premier Inn instead of camping, and we were tired and we basically just wanted to go there and basically have a deep shower and relax a little bit. Checked into the hotel at about 2 o'clock and sort of relaxed, had a nap, and then we had some dinner in the restaurant. After that we decided to go out again, because we were going to go to the Falls of Foyers, but we just kind of couldn't be bothered during the day. And then we randomly decided we'll go out in the evening after tea and go and have a look. These were some more good roads on the way down to Falls of Foyers. We basically drove down the opposite side of Loch Ness to which we were on before. Now we were probably here from about 8:30 to 9:30, just sort of wandering around, looking at this really nice waterfall and sort of walking along this, what they call the Red Squirrel Trail. Now I was hoping to see some here as well, but we didn't. On the way back from this walk, the sun was setting and you could just see it poking through the clouds a little bit at the side of Loch Ness, which made for some nice photos. Now the next day we went up from Inverness to a place called Rogie Falls, which is known for having salmon jumping out of the water. Now we only saw one salmon jumping and Rachel only managed to catch it on her phone. None of us caught it on camera. Then we drove all the way from Rogie Falls over to Glenmore because we were camping at Glenmore campsite. Now again we went on a slightly longer route to get there. It made the route half an hour longer and we went down the A96 and then onto the B9090. When we got to Glenmore we set up camp and then went just up the road from the campsite to a place called the Green Loch. Now we went here sort of in the evening after tea as well, so there was pretty much no one there, which also made it a sort of a nicer experience. This was about a 20-minute walk each way from where you park your car. Now if you go in here during the day, there's probably not going to be any parking spaces. There's literally space for about 3 or 4 cars, and you can't park at the ranger station which is there either. So you may have to park further back down the road and then walk up. And there's no guessing where it gets the name the Green Loch from. The 6th day, basically all we had planned was driving the snow roads, which is a scenic route which goes from one end of the Cairngorms National Park to the other. Now annoyingly, Glenmore campsite lock their gates at certain times. I think it's between 11 and 7, and we wanted to get out super early again, so we had to park the car across the road and leave as little as possible in the tent. So basically, as soon as we woke up, we just packed the tent up in the car, drove down the road 5 minutes and just pulled over and had some porridge for breakfast. I'm super glad we did this because we basically just sat on the edge of Loch Morlich and ate some porridge. after this, completely unexpected, we actually saw some red squirrels. A group of about 3 of them just ran across the road in front of us and into the trees, and were sort of finding food or doing whatever they were doing. Now you'll have to forgive my rubbish camera skills here, because I was trying to catch them on the camera whilst looking at where they were going, because they do blend in with the tree quite well. So after this great morning, we headed off on the scenic route of the snow roads. Now we didn't really want to do just nothing but spend the whole day in the car, so we ended up going to a place called the House of Bruar, which is what looks to me like a really posh place where they sell hunting gear, fishing gear and all that sort of stuff. And there's a posh food hall which basically has like no branded things that you find in a normal supermarket. It's all like really nice handmade expensive things. And there's also a walk called the Falls of Bruar, which took us about an hour and a half, and you basically go up from behind the whole complex of the House of Bruar and up one side of the river and down the other. This was a nice little walk as well. After that we went down just past Perth to a place called Scone Camping and Caravan Club. Now the original plan was to stay the night there and then the next day go to Edinburgh in the morning for a few hours and then go home. But we really wanted to go back to Glencoe because the experience that I had the first time I saw that, it was our favourite day, so we thought, sorry, let's add another day. So we booked another Premier Inn, which was kind of not too far from Edinburgh, but not in Edinburgh because they were more expensive. And we basically just the next day drove all the way back to Glencoe, had a sort of drive round, went back down Glen Etive and came all the way back to just outside of Edinburgh and stayed in a Premier Inn. Well, there you go, that's my Scotland road trip video done. I hope you've enjoyed the video and I hope my voice hasn't been too boring and drony to listen to. Also, please go and follow me on Instagram. That's @FurtherDrives, and well, I'm Further Drives on all social media, so Twitter, TikTok. It's just @FurtherDrives. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel.